from the BBC World Service in association with ABC and All India Radio. This is Stumped.
Hello and welcome to Stumped, your intercontinental hit of news, features and debate from the quirky world of cricket. I'm Alison Mitchell in London, but on the countdown until I fly out to Australia to cover some cricket down under. Mandatory quarantine is going to be required, so I've been looking for any tips that's going to help me get through that. I've already got a special little guitar on order, one that plugs in, plays silently, well, in headphones at any rate, so you don't disturb the neighbours. But still, I've got a couple more weeks in the UK, so yeah, it's lying low. It's trying to make the most of the dry days to get outside and see friends in a COVID-safe way when you can.
You're glowing over there. I'm sure you will be when you come to Australia, Ali. It's Jim Maxwell for the ABC in Sydney, where you need webbed feet these days. The WBBL has been drowned in the last week, and hopefully it stops because we've had more rain this month than we normally do. But it's fine in Adelaide. That's where they're playing Sheffield Shield. Australia have announced a white ball team in India are coming.
Aussies, watch it. The Indians are coming and in large numbers. This is Charu Sharma for All India Radio in Bangalore, where luckily the rain has gone away. We had a major trough or a depression or whatever, many days, and it rained and rained and rained. But it's all right now. It's kind of even warm at times, and I'm quite enjoying being in Bangalore. Of course, the usual golf and tennis continue, thankfully, without the rain interruptions these days. But again, all eyes on the IPL so far as it reaches towards its conclusion. So plenty of exciting matches, and it's all rolling along pretty well, the IPL. Plenty of cricket, but I feel a little sad for all the rest of the sports because they just have not been able to get off the block in our part of the world.
We'll come to the IPL in a moment, Charu, but first of all, Jim, the white smoke, we finally got it. That significant announcement in Australia to confirm the dates of the India men's tour. So ODIs in late November with test matches in December and January. But another key question, though, how many of those games are going to have crowds and what size of crowds?
Well, crowds, tick that box. The number, they're saying 25,000 could be the limit on Boxing Day. That may change between now and then. I mean, there'd be at least 25,000 Indians in Melbourne and want to go. So I'm not sure how they ration the tickets for all these matches, but the tickets are on sale for the one-days and T20 games in Sydney and down in Canberra. And there are 2 3-day games, which, well, you could get quite a few people into SCG and Drummoyne for those. But again, I'm not sure what the limit will be.
Charu, what do you make of the India squads then that have been announced for the white ball matches?
There's so many fabulous cricketers in our part of the world that, choosing teams for a 3-format tour is just a nightmare. All I can say is that if the white ball cricketers do rather well to begin with, perhaps some of them can actually stay back because they would already have been a part of the quarantine. The couple of big misses, of course, are Rohit Sharma for the moment because of his so-called injury, which is a bit of a mystery. If he does play matches for the Mumbai Indians thereafter, then there should be hope, and he must get back. Ishant Sharma, too, is a bit of a loss at this point of time. Some injury keeping him out. But India do seem to be reasonably well served with the new crop of fast bowlers. Saini is there, and of course, the new lefty, what's the name now? Let's get Siraj is also somebody who can be looked at. So, I think there's a lot of excitement and not as much negativity as sometimes surrounds the selection of teams because, of course, some favourites miss out.
So it's a squad of 32 for India. They'll train in quarantine for the first 14 days when they arrive in New South Wales. What about test match preparation, Jim, in this very condensed schedule?
For those who are coming back from the IPL, there might be very much, will there? But, I mean, they've been playing cricket. I mean, that's better than not playing cricket, I guess. But there's been plenty of Sheffield Shield so far, and there will be a bit more before that happens. So, a lot of the players will get themselves into nick. The interesting one around that, of course, is Matthew Wade, who's taken 2 matches off to spend time with his family. Is that a good call with this chap, Cameron Green, romping along at 21 years of age? He'll put his hand
selection.
Up. Look, there's enough cricket being played to get these blokes into the sort of nick you think they'd be able to produce something with in Adelaide. But it won't be the fortress start for Australia that they've become used to over the years. It's not Brisbane, it's Adelaide. And we remember well how close India got to Australia on the back of Kohli's brilliant centuries in each innings when they were last here. So that's something to look forward to, given the adjustment for day-night cricket. But India will play a 3-day preparation match at the SCG under the lights.
Yeah, a first day-night test in Australia for Kohli's men, Charu. I mean, yes, Kohli loves Adelaide, but how much negotiation do you reckon that took to get the day-night element over the line?
Well, I can only assure you that with the lack of long-form cricket or red ball cricket for the Indians as they go into this contest, and that too first up, a day-night match, they will not be relishing this encounter for sure. They were pretty resistant to day-night matches for very long, as we all know. And, of course, they played only one against Bangladesh in the Eden Gardens, which they won quite handsomely. But let's not forget that Australia have won all of their day-night matches, red ball matches in Australia. And they will be not just normally formidable. I think they are clear favourites in that day-night match, where I think local understanding of pace of the fast bowlers is likely to be the key. Now, I mean, they have some good fast bowlers, but they don't quite have as much experience in day-night conditions. So, yeah, I don't know about the amount of negotiation, but I'm sure Kohli will be kicking and fighting every last inch of that. But Australia clear favourites there because of their experience that they have with day-night cricket. So that's not a terrific start to the Indian Test tour.
It should be a cracker of... Well, it should be a cracker of a series. India won last time they were in Australia, of course, 2-1 to retain the Border Gavaskar Trophy. That was Justin Langer's first series in charge. It was a bit of a baptism of fire for him coming in as he did. But yeah, a lot has happened since then. He's done a lot with the team, so can't wait for that test series. But there's, of course, all the white ball games to come before as well. So exciting to know that that tour is definitely on. Well, before any cricket can be played in Australia, the IPL does have to play out over in the UAE. So let's just turn our attention to that. And it is one of the most open tournaments that we've seen ever. And right now, as we're recording, any team apart from Chennai Super Kings can qualify for the playoffs. Charu, why do you think it's been as open as this time round?
Well, for starters, the format does remain the same. There are 8 teams and the world's best players are distributed almost equally, really. The player purse, as again should be in leagues that are still to grow, is the same. So on that theoretical note, teams should be the same in terms of standards because they have equal opportunity. But maybe the additional factor this time around is the fact that there's no home team. There's no home advantage. They're all playing really on different grounds in the Middle East, and there's no distinct advantage. There's no pitch preparation advantage. You don't play 7 games at home, which is a large number, where you expect it to do well because of home support, home pitches, just getting to know those grounds a lot better. So these are some of the reasons where, thankfully, the competition's been a lot closer than the previous years, and you only feel sorry for one team, really, and we'll get to that a little later. But it's wonderful for any tournament on a macro level to be so closely contested, because the minute teams start separating out, and of course there are only 8 here and 4 of them make it, but say in the English Premier League, for instance, 4 separate early on and 16 are basically struggling for the rest of the spots. The interest factor does reduce.
Jim, it's the first time in CSK's history that they won't be in the top 4. Is this just a case of life cycle, age eventually catching up?
Sounds like it. Sam Curran's done a fantastic job for them. And you'd be signing him up again. But I think Shane Watson's probably past it. Dhoni certainly is, but he's got a very good relationship with the owners of the team. So maybe they're going to stick with him, although he's moving towards an Indian pension at 39 years of age. And Dwayne Bravo's contributed nothing. So I think they've got a few gaps in their team that will need the auction process or whatever to throw up a few names. But, having said that, they may be on the bottom of the pile, but they're not a long way away from everyone else. It's just they haven't played with the customary verve and skill that we've seen before. But I'd be interested to know from Charu, is Dhoni going to keep playing? Will the owners want him to play? There's a long history there, and they've got a lot of faith in him, I think, even though he's getting on a bit.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he half owns the team, if you know what I mean. But that's a 2-part question. Does he want to play? Probably not, Jim, because, he's been there, done that 1,000 times. Will the owners want him to play? I've been caught saying this a little earlier. I think they'd want him to play till he's at least 50 or as long as they possibly can hold on to him.
He's still a draw card, isn't he, for the fans?
A huge a talisman, no doubt. But I mean, this time, luckily, for him, the tournament's been overseas in the UAE, so he'll cop some of the blame for what happened to the team. But when it all comes back to India, as I hope it does next year, I think he will continue to be the big hero, the big draw, as you say, Alison. And it's just for him so difficult to not really be playing any grade of cricket or practicing for 10 months of the year and then come into the IPL and perform all over again. It's just very difficult. But just, Jim, to answer your question, if I were his team owner, I would do exactly the same, saying, Dhoni, stick around till you're kind of, ready with the crutches.
Mumbai Indians have got a foot in the playoffs now, Charu, after they beat RCB. Have any teams, though, surprised you this season with the way they've performed?
Surprised, perhaps not, but one is certainly pleased with the way Delhi has gone on in the first part of the tournament. Yes, they've lost the last 2 or 3 matches, and that kind of puts a bit of a spin on their making it the final 4. But surely they will win one and get there. And I have large expectations from just how well they've done generally, because you've got to be careful what you say, because they've lost the last 2 or 3 matches. Also very pleased with the resilience shown by the Kings 11 Punjab team, because they looked so promising, had such a great team, then lost a whole bunch of matches, and then now can't seem to lose.
Well, all of that is going to unfold in the coming days. The Women's IPL Challenge starts in the UAE this week. India stars Harmanpreet Kaur, Smriti Mandana and Mitali Raj will captain the 3 teams in the triangular tournament that takes place alongside the men's IPL playoffs. If it wasn't for the pandemic, well, it might have developed into a 4-team tournament this year. But this year's one clashes with the Women's Big Bash in Australia, notably, which means that some of the biggest international stars of the game can't be there. But according to former India bowler turned writer and broadcaster Snehal Pradhan, there are still plenty of talking points.
I think the headlines really were 3 new Indian faces who we haven't really seen before in the T20 challenge. And judging by what Shafali Verma did last year, the bar is set pretty high. Also, the fact that we've got some countries which we've never seen before because of the clash with the WBBL. No Australian players, no top-line internationals, gives a lot of other players a chance to show their skills. And Thailand getting an opportunity, that was really one of the highlights for me.
Was there ever a danger, Snehal, that this women's challenge wouldn't take place at all?
There was a fear, I'll be honest, and there were plenty of reports in the newspapers when there weren't any commitments, any public announcements about this T20 challenge. All the talk was about how difficult it is going to be to pull the IPL off in the UAE in current conditions. The England tour did not go ahead. I mean, that was a little bit of a body blow to the community. And in that circumstance, there were reports, there were fears that women's cricket would be looked at as something surplus and unnecessary. What we've seen is a scaling down. Luckily, it hasn't gotten that bad, but what we've seen is a scaling down. Before COVID hit, it had been announced that a 4th team would be added to the T20 Women's Challenge, which I thought would have been a great move, because then it really set the stage for a mini IPL next year with teams aligned to the men's franchise. But currently, this is what we've got. Considering the situation earlier, I think it is going to be the first cricket played by the Indian cricketers since Women's Day 2020.
Do you think this is only a delay then to adding a 4th team? That this will happen inevitably, or just be next year rather than this?
I think so. The fact that they publicly announced that they will have a 4th team conveys that they believe that there is enough depth in the Indian domestic system, that there is enough talent for a 4th team. And I believe there is enough talent for a 4th team. I believe 4 teams is a good number to start off a full-fledged mini IPL with 4 teams aligned to the men's franchises, which then can build up to 8 teams as the years go on. We saw that model work with Aussie Rules football in Australia, where they started off the AFL women's with, I think, 8 out of 18 clubs, which have men's teams starting off with women's teams. No reason why we can't start off with 4 franchises next year.
Snehal Pradhan speaking to me from Pune. Charu, with no Australians in the tournament this year, yes, is this a genuine opportunity for India to demonstrate that there is a depth of talent that then would justify a further expansion and an expansion again?
Yes, Alison, theoretically, yes. But remember, for the last 6, 8 months, no one's really gone about playing anything, certainly not training. So this is a wonderful opportunity, but it's come at the wrong time because she mentioned Shefali Verma, of course, is a bit of a genius, but there are so many others who would love to have proven their new skills, but where have they been able to practice or get going? Almost nowhere because of our, COVID situation. So I don't know how to say this. I fear this token women's T20 challenge, riding on the back of the IPL where plenty of runs are scored, some big sixes, 155 deliveries and what have you. And then we see women's cricket on the same platform without the Aussie stars and without the Indians having really much of a chance to have practiced. And, it just emphasizes the potential difference in standards. And that's what scares me because we don't want cricket fans turning away from what may seem a slightly imbalanced situation. But yes, it's a great opportunity. I just wish the timing had been better.
It's not a token tournament, though, is it? And it genuinely has the backing of BCCI, and it has, as Snehal said, the plan was to expand it this season if it hadn't been for COVID.
Yes, all the signs are good in that if one more team was to be added, I'm sure it will be soon. All these are very positive signs. I don't want to repeat myself, but I do think that, piggybacking on the IPL at this point of time may not work 100%. And if it sort of works in a reverse fashion, that would be terrible because a lot of the Indian youngsters haven't really gotten to practice at all. And some of the bigger established stars from Australia are not around. So the standards are, could be questionable. I'm so glad, frankly. Let me say this, that it's actually happening because I too was one of the many who at one point said, well, the IPL is so delicately placed anyway, being held in the UAE, that they may not administratively be able to handle the women's T20. I'm glad that's going ahead. So let's hope that the world's cricketers and certainly the Indian youngsters make good this wonderful opportunity to be visible and salient during the IPL.
Well, that's all for this week's Stumped here on All India Radio. Don't forget you can get in touch with us at BBCWS Sport and use the hashtag BBC Stumped. My thanks to Charu Sharma and Jim Maxwell and to you for listening. Stay safe. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Stumped is a BBC sport production for the BBC World Service in association with the Australian Broadcasting Corporation and All India Radio.